so kind, staring out into space, asking God to hear my case, trying to think of all things past. How long will my memory last? But purple angel, purple angel, purple angel, you're next to me.
Well, hi, everyone, and welcome to Alzheimer's Speaks Radio. I'm Lori LeBay, the host and founder of Alzheimer's Speaks, and we're just thrilled to have you with us today. Before we get into our show, I know we always get new listeners, so I'm just going to tell you a little bit about who we are and what we do and why we're here. Bottom line, Alzheimer's Speaks is an advocacy-based company providing multiple platforms to shift our dementia care culture from crisis to comfort worldwide. And we believe that the only way we are going to win against this disease is to work collaboratively together. And I know that's working because of all of your likes and clicks and shares through your Facebook friends, your LinkedIn colleagues, your Twitter tribes, your Pinterest peeps. Each of you has had a huge impact on raising awareness for Alzheimer's and dementia by just doing those small little clicks and pushing them out to your sphere of influence. In fact, we were named the #1 influencer online for Alzheimer's according to ShareCare and Dr. Oz because of your help. So we really, really appreciate your efforts and know that they're not for naught. They really do have power out there. Alzheimer's Speaks also believes really strongly that by joining forces and sharing knowledge and having everyday conversations about life with dementia, that we're going to be able to remove some of the stigmas attached to memory loss and help those living with the disease continue to live with purpose and be engaged in society. Together, we feel that everybody can understand the true needs and, again, help remove these myths and stigmas that cause such fear and isolation for family, friends, and communities alike. If you are interested in being part of our show, please reach out to me. Just go to our kind of mothership, alzheimersspeaks.com, and there on the top will be a big contact button. Because, again, Alzheimer's Speaks' mission is to raise everyone's voice. So if you have an opinion about dementia, if you have tools, products, and services that you think others could tap into, we want to hear from you. So just go to that contact button, again, on alzheimersspeaks.com and shoot me an email or give me a holler. Would love to work with you. Now, we are lucky enough here at Alive and Social to be able to offer a couple of freebies for you. One has to do with FreshBooks, which is a super simple invoicing solution, and it allows you to create and send really slick, professional-looking invoices in seconds. Helps you track and manage your money, and you can get a free 30-day trial by just going to gofreshbooks.com/alive. That's gofreshbooks.com/alive. The other offer we have for you is with Audible. And you can get a 30-day trial there and pick out a book of your choice because life is so fast-paced. We don't always have time to curl up in a chair and read. We can listen when we're going on a walk, when we are driving, when we're sitting at work, and hear a story be told to us. And you can get your free trial at audibletrial.com/social. That's audibletrial.com/social. Now, today we are going to have I think, a great show, one that people are going to be really, I think, talking about for a long time, because every time I have featured somebody about music, this one seems to get a lot of hits and a lot of push. And so we are really lucky to have with us Steve Toll, who is the National Director of Music Programming. Steve is a classical musician and composer at heart. His interest is really in what he has seen to be amazing transformation through the power of music. And it's inspired him to do research and develop a philosophy which he uses music as a powerful therapeutic tool. Steve Toole has been a keynote speaker and a trainer for the National Alzheimer's Association. agencies and companies throughout the United States. And currently, Steve is the National Director of Music Programming for ComForcare Home Health Care Holdings, or Health Care Holdings, excuse me. So with no further ado, I just want to welcome Steve to the show. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, good. I always like to ask people one question before I kind of get into my talking points, and that is, have you been personally touched by dementia with family, friends, or colleagues?
Well, I have, and certainly with family, in terms of my father-in-law has been dealing with actually a neurodegenerative form of dementia called PSP, which really does not. It's kind of interesting, and there are many types of dementias, as we know, but this really affects the fine motor skills and eventually the gross motor skills, and it doesn't really affect memory. However, it does affect speech. So he does have some aphasia. So it's a little bit different type of dementia, and it's pretty debilitating from a physical point of view. So he loves music, and we've used music with him to help him to remain somewhat physical in terms of being able to clap hands or do some physical movement that's helped him in rhythm to the music. So that was directly, and of course over the years I've met many people and have become friends with many families who've been touched by all forms of dementia, and met some tremendous people along the way and seen some amazing transformations as well.
Wonderful. Well, it's like I said, I'm really excited about having this conversation. My mom lived with the disease for 30 years, and on our YouTube we actually have, I don't know, probably a dozen short little pieces of the effects of music, and so powerful. Just even when she, couldn't engage, she would with music. And she's since passed a couple years ago, but those just live on in my heart, my soul. And if I'm having a bad day, I flick one of those on, and it just makes me smile, that she was at peace and comfortable and happy, and just so soothing. So I think I'm real interested in, like I said, talking about the power of music. Why do you think music is so helpful to us in terms of reminiscing?
Well, one of the things that music does, and you mentioned it, you're able to access parts of the brain that we've seen now through scans that music affects all parts of the brain. So when someone hears music, especially some particular song or form of music that has real personal significance for them, it really connects with so many different elements of memory. So it's not just that we remember the song and remember the words, although that's extremely powerful. And I've seen many times where people who no longer can speak, you start playing a song and they're lit up and they know all the words and they can sing along. But it also taps into those long-term memories that we associate with particular songs. Maybe it was the song, our wedding song. Maybe it was a song that had to do with a first date or some other significant event in someone's life. So to be able to access those wonderful memories through the use of a song also many times will stimulate that person to start to speak where you think they didn't remember or weren't able to communicate. Now all of a sudden we see that this person is opened up and awakened to those memories, and you can have a conversation for that. It may be temporary, but all of that really improves quality of life during that time. So it's extremely powerful in that way.
Well, and I want to mention, the quality of life, of course, is so important for the person with dementia, but it also for the people that are caring for them. It to me, what I have felt and what I've seen and what I've heard from others, it allows care partners to take a shift too and to be joyful and peaceful. And that's huge.
Absolutely. And you mentioned earlier when you were speaking about how you will look at some of the songs and some of the musical moments with your mother and feel good. Well, I always tell that to caregivers. You can use the music for yourself. Music working with someone with music, listening together, engaging together, help them maybe to clap their hands. This connection that is formed is really just, I think, as important for the caregiver as it is for the person who has Alzheimer's, because it helps you to find some joy in the day and to be able to connect on kind of an equal footing. And I also always encourage caregivers to make a playlist of the music that has significance for them, so that they can turn to it and use it to feel better, to pick up a mood, to just generally relax and de-stress. So critical for caregivers as well.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And, you mentioned creating a playlist for them. But I also think that, nowadays, we're trying to be more conscious of how we care. We should make a playlist for ourselves, because you don't have to be sick for music to be powerful. You can be.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
The caregivers should always have a playlist of music that has meaning for them.
Oh, okay.
Well.
Yep.
Sure.
Yeah. Very, very important. When did you first discover the power of music, Steve?
Well, I would say that I first discovered it when I was probably 15 years old, and I was playing in a band. I started early. I was a professional musician from the age of 15. And the first thing I noticed whenever I was playing somewhere with a band, I would see how as soon as the music started, it affected people. It either drew them on the dance floor together. It somehow unified everyone. So I realized early on that it was really a very powerful force.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was a musician for many years, and probably about 25 years ago, and I was playing with a band, and in that band, I'm a classical violinist. I studied for many years and also played keyboards. And in this particular band, I was playing electric violin and keyboards, but I also play guitar and I sing. We were in the rehearsal hall. I picked up one of the guitars and started to play Embraceable You, the George Gershwin song, because I had always loved the standards, the Great American Songbook. I had grown up listening to those things, great songs. And I started to play Embraceable You and sing it, and a couple of the band members said to me, we didn't even know you knew that music, let alone could play it. And they said, you should go to a nursing home. And this is about 25 years ago. I bet the residents would really love it. And I said, I'll give it a try. And that's what I did. And early on, I saw someone with Alzheimer's who seemed to be completely despondent, disoriented. I started to play a song, that person's head lifted, eyes open, started singing along with the music, and that was really an aha moment for me. And I started to research dementia and Alzheimer's and learning about it, and I got a certification as a dementia care specialist and became more and more involved in how powerful music is to help people with any form of dementia, really anything generally, but certainly with dementia, it's so powerful.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Now, are you an actual certified therapist?
I am not a certified music therapist, no. And, I had thought about it many times. I was so busy working with music, and I know many music therapists and have worked with them. And, my specialty became working with groups of people, leading sing-alongs. I call therapeutic sing-alongs because I was engaging with each person in the room. And at that point, music therapy it didn't really seem like a great track for me. Mm-hmm. And as it turned out, there's so many other ways to use music. Music is therapeutic just by nature. And I really focused more on learning about dementia and becoming more tuned in to the specific needs of people with dementia and all types of dementia, Alzheimer's being, of course, the one that is most prevalent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess I know, with me, I have had some music therapists get really upset that, you can't use music that way. I'm like, people use music this way all the time. We listen to it in the car. We listen to it when we wake up, when we go to bed. We're just not conscious of some of the aspects. And granted, with their training, there's a lot more that can be done. But I think as a general community, if we are just more aware of what music triggers for people, we can utilize that as individuals, and it doesn't have to cost money, per se, in order to do that. You can put music on your phone or your radio or, your iPhone or whatever you might have, and
exactly.
create an atmosphere. So I just wanted to make that clarification because I know some people listening would want to know.
And for that reason, I encourage at ComForcare. We are a franchise system of home care agencies throughout the United States and Canada, and I always encourage all of our franchise owners to embrace the use of music, train their caregivers to be able to connect with someone with music, and we do this by learning about all of our clients through a tool that we have called a social history questionnaire, and we learn about them so that we can design customized playlists for them. And then we also encourage our caregivers, like we said earlier, to think of the songs that they like so they can use the same type of techniques that they're using with their clients to help themselves.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And you don't have to be a music therapist to do this. You don't have to be a musician to do this.
Mm-hmm.
That's the other thing, because you don't really even have to know how to sing very well. And I say to many people who say, "Oh, I don't sing," I said, "Well, did you ever sing in the shower or sing in the car when you're listening to the radio?" And most people say yes, they have. So
mm-hmm.
It's not about someone judging your vocal abilities. It's just about being able to harness that great power and feel better.
Well, and I agree with that. One of the things that, my mom told me, or taught me, I should say, through her 30-year journey was, I love to sing, and this haunts me, and I'm almost sick. I'm pushing 60 now, but I remember driving in the car, and I used to love to sing, but I had a terrible voice, and I'll never forget. And it was kind of a joke in our family, but I remember us going on a long trip, and my dad looking at my mom, going, "Can you please have her stop?" And there was a judgment because I wasn't on key, but dang, I was having fun and I was engaged, and in my mind I was a rock and roll star. And what I learned through my mom's journey with dementia was there's no judgment, and so she didn't care if I was on pitch or not. She just wanted to have fun. And so
right.
It allowed me to sing, and not that I didn't after that statement from my dad, and that might seem really unkind, which he was not, but I was not a good singer. That was plain and simple, and I knew that as well. I just didn't know it bothered him to the extent that
music connects to that deep emotional self that we have, and that's one of the reasons why it's so powerful with people with dementia, because someone with dementia may have lost a lot of things, but they still have many qualities and characteristics and wonderful things that remain. And a rich emotional life is one of those things. To be able to tap into the emotions and connect with someone with music, and for that person to be able to connect with themselves through music, is truly an amazing power. And that rich emotional life remains
mm-hmm.
in someone with dementia. And so you can tap into that. So singing together, however you sound, smiling, making eye contact, enjoying one another's company through the use of music is extremely powerful.
Well, and I liked when you just said, smiling, having that contact, because I think that that's something that we really, really take for granted. And, smile is so powerful. When I go out and do dementia training and speak at conferences, I talk about the power of a smile. And if there's only one thing you remember is try to be pleasant, and have a smile, because,
right.
It says we're okay in this space, and we should all be comfortable, and having fun. And it's just so powerful. And we forget that when we're caring for someone who's ill, we take things so seriously, and we forget to have fun and just be real people. And those soft little nonverbals are so critical, because a person with dementia can still read into our nonverbals if we want to admit it or not. With that,
they can definitely. In fact, I sort of believe that is the ability that even may get a little enhanced. Possibly. That's one of the aspects of our Dementia Wise program, which is ComForcare's proprietary program for dementia training. We tell all of our caregivers, check yourself. In other words, don't bring your baggage into a connection. And that goes with anyone, family or whomever is doing the care. Whatever issues you may have, you have to sort of leave them at the door, leave them somewhere else, because that going in, it's difficult sometimes, it's challenging, but bringing that into the relationship, the person with dementia is going to feel that there's something going on. So you've got to do your best to leave those things behind. And then the next thing you have to do is make a warm connection. And that warm connection is through a smile. It's through an accepting look. It's a non-judgmental kind of a demeanor that is just so powerful in creating those connections, especially when someone's having a hard day or they're doing something that they don't want to do. For instance, getting someone with Alzheimer's sometimes can be very challenging to get a bath. And we've had this many times, and I've seen it many times, both with people who live at home and people who live in communities. I can tell you one very powerful story about a man I met. He was living in an assisted living community in a memory care unit, and the caregivers there had a very difficult time getting him to the lavatory for his bath. He just refused. He became very agitated. And through a little bit of investigation, we found out that this man grew up in New York City and loved Broadway shows and loved the music from Broadway shows. So I visited him and started playing some of the songs, and it turns out that one of his favorite songs, which always was effective in getting him down the hall to get in the bath, ironically, was the song "Ain't Misbehavin'." But that always kind of cracked me up because it seemed so ironic. But that song, all you had to do was go over to him and start singing a little bit. And some of the caregivers said, "Well, I can't sing." It's all you got to do is no one to talk with, all by myself, just like that. And he would get right into it. He would start to move to the music, and he would just go very delightfully down the hall to the bath, and it worked with him every time. So sometimes it's finding that particular song that really works. We had another case where someone refused a bath, would not do it. We discovered that this particular person's favorite song was the Old Rugged Cross, and played the Old Rugged Cross and sang it with her, and that worked for her to change her whole attitude about it. So it's truly amazing when you find that right recipe, so to speak. You can oftentimes change the whole focus.
Yep. Yeah, you really can. And when you can change the mood and the environment, it's just such a powerful, powerful thing. Now, one of the questions, and I think we've answered this a little bit, but I think you'll probably go into more detail, is do you need to be a musician to use music when you're caring for somebody?
You definitely do not need to be a musician. And there's all sorts of resources now for music. There's very simple ways to play it. I mean, if you have a Wi-Fi connection, you can stream music. You can purchase music from iTunes or Amazon. You can burn them on a CD and play them on a little boom box. You can put them on an iPod and use a headset, and you can just sing along with the person. I mean, if you have the music playing, you really don't have to be a singer. And even if you don't sing, you can clap hands and just generally engage with that person. It's really about listening together and engaging together. That is the most powerful way. Now, that being said, you can also use music passively. What we tend to do is use music passively more for a relaxation technique, or to help someone who has trouble going to sleep. We have maybe a peaceful playlist of peaceful songs that encourage sleep, encourage relaxation. Maybe in the morning, some upbeat songs to get the person going. You can use music throughout the day to kind of set the tone and create the mood. You can do that with passive music just playing in the background. And then also you can use music more as of an engaging kind of an activity where you're actually working with the person and you're engaging together. You're making that connection. You're clapping hands to the music. You're maybe dancing in place. If a person is non-ambulatory, you can take their hands and sway to the music. There's many kinds of things you can do that really don't require any musical ability at all. It's really more of an ability to connect and really just be a warm, loving person.
Mm-hmm. Well, and one of the things, that it helped for me with the music was it made me more conscious of her nonverbal responses and our touch. So when we started out, maybe we were standing up dancing. Then she ended up wheelchair bound, my mom, and then I danced with her in the wheelchair. And then that didn't work anymore. And then pretty much we were swinging arms, and then pretty soon it was down to fingers. And then it was just kind of rubbing or tapping, her hand.
Right.
And so in all of those things were so precious. And I never would have done them before, with my mom. Yeah. And yet they're just, it's such intimate, there's such an intimate connection through music. That's just very soothing and very, very powerful. So I would definitely encourage people to tap into it. I know for my brothers, they were really uncomfortable visiting with my mom. They didn't know what to do. So music was really their go-to thing. Mm-hmm. They didn't want to massage her hands or do different types of things, but they could plug in a CD and it made them feel more comfortable being there.
And you bring up a very important point, too, that using music in this way can be adapted through level of function. As the person declines, you adjust. You already talked about how you adjusted using music together as your mother went through the journey and became more affected by the disease. You were able to adapt it so that it was still an extremely effective activity to do with her and had all those benefits. And you also bring up a very good point about making visits more connected, easier, something to do, something that we all have in common that we can share together, which is sometimes extremely difficult. I mean, I've seen many families and talked with many families who have such difficulty with this. And music is always kind of an equalizer in a way to help create that connection again. Very important.
Yep. I totally agree. It's funny how it's, music, I think, and a lot of the social things that were going on for engagement were kind of poo-pooed for a long time, I think, in the industry. And now they're kind of coming to the forefront and people are going, oh, this can work. It doesn't necessarily have to be a pill, And so that's been...
I was going to say there's a lot happening in that regard, and I've spoken with a number of neurologists who really, they may diagnose the disease, but then what do they tell the family? What do you do? So a lot of neurologists now are seeing that how effective music is as something to recommend that people can do to maintain the connection for as long as possible.
Yeah, and that's way overdue. I mean, because there's still a lot of physicians that aren't sharing even the diagnosis with the person or their family. And, we all need that help and that support, pushing people into, supportive care situations and ways that will make them be more comfortable in this new role that they have as a care partner. With all of your, positive information that we know about the power of music and how important it is to inspire its use and help people just grab a hold and harness it, how can you really encourage care partners to implement this in a daily care plan?
Well, I think one of the ways is is just outreach. One of the things that ComForcare does is we have lots of public presentations about the power of music, about using meaningful activities like music in a very dynamic way. And we also do things, we sponsor screenings of the documentary Alive Inside, which is an extremely powerful film about how music is used therapeutically. It's just a great film. I recommend that anyone who hasn't seen it to see it. I believe it is available on Netflix, and I know that you can get it through Amazon as well. But we have sponsored a number of screenings all over the country, and we promote them and we encourage people to come, and we have a panel discussion about the film, and we talk about the programs that we have. We've had some quite esteemed panelists on our discussion after the film to talk about the film, answer questions from the audience, and it's always amazed me every time we've done this. After the film, everyone is so opened up that we usually don't have enough time for all of the questions and comments that people have. So we usually have to go and just after people are just milling around to speak and ask questions and talk and want to know how they can get involved and where can they get music and how can they become part of this. So those are some of the ways that it's spreading the word. It's getting out there and spreading the word. And, that is really the way we can do it. And I got to tell you, since I started doing this, when I first started doing this, and, I started out going into nursing homes and basically leading sing-alongs, playing music, singing songs with the residents. And, the management liked what I did. And I quickly discovered that many of the caregivers who worked in these establishments, when I came in and did my music, they would sort of go away. They wouldn't really engage. And I realized that if the caregivers were engaging during the music with the residents, how much more beneficial and powerful it would be. So that motivated and inspired me to develop a training for caregivers, and that's what I did. I went around to various nursing homes and assisted livings and independent living, and I tried to train caregivers. When I first started doing this, they looked at me like I was crazy, and so it's come full circle now. I mean, it's taken 20 years, but now when we talk about it, now it's embraced. There isn't anyone that I've talked to in any community that doesn't believe that music has benefits. Now, they may not have a really official music program. Many of them use music, but they may not be using it as fully as they could to get the benefits out of it for all the residents, but they are aware of it. So that's progress. It takes a long time, and I expect that it's going to continue.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. And, part of it is we're so used to, especially in dementia care, people would just, kind of like what they do with young kids, they throw the TV on and put that in front of them. And, they can't follow a storyline because it's all new and it's all fresh. But with music, that stuff is so rooted into their brain, and some of the songs, I know with my mom towards the end, we did a lot of simple songs, You Are My Sunshine and things like that, and even some lullabies. But they were so embedded in her, she still remembered those songs. And so, it's putting our judgment aside and going into their space of what's going to make them comfortable, what's going to give them the ability to interact and feel a part. And I think we still have a long ways to go to get society to remove our judgment. on different aspects of care with individuals.
And that is definitely true. I will say that music is one of those things that the songs are embedded in us, but music in general is embedded in us. I mean, music is part of life. Music is natural. From the baby in the womb, listening to the mother speak, it creates a music in the form of speech, in phrasing, and they've shown that babies will sort of they sound like the mother in terms of the structure and the phrasing of their tone. So, and also rhythm is just part of life. I mean, whenever you start playing music, you put on a song, you see people, almost anyone is going to start moving to the music, whether it's a subtle little tapping of a toe, or actually moving to the music. It's embedded in us. It's part of our makeup, and there's science that proves that, going back thousands of years, to show that music being used as a communication tool early on, and music as part of speech, the way we speak, is musical as well. Mm-hmm. So it's sort of natural just to realize that music is there, and it's a universal language. And there's been many examples of how people from all over the world will respond together to music. It doesn't matter where they're from, what language they speak, what their particular background is, their ethnic group, whatever it is. Everyone can come together in a unified way with music.
Mm-hmm. Well, and a lot of us have listened and purchased music in different languages. We don't even know what they're saying, but we like the melody and the beat and whatever. So it isn't about this verbalization all the time. It's really more about the vibration it gives off, to us, and how it makes us feel. You had mentioned, doing educational programs with Alive Inside, which is so wonderful. And people can see snippets of that on YouTube as well. Very, very powerful. But it really does. It shows not only the change in the individual, but it shows the change in the room and how people react when music is played, and when someone is responding so positively. It just has this ripple effect that's pretty incredible. Yeah. I'm one of the platinum sponsors of the movie His Neighbor Phil. I don't know if you've heard of that, but that has that has a music twist with it as well, and very powerful, for both the family and the community at large to learn the power, of that. And there's also a piece in there about home care and how it's pushed away from families, and no, we can handle it. And we also do kind of talkbacks afterwards, addressing those things and the importance of connecting and finding support and not feeling alone, and looking for those moments of joy, creating those moments of joy. And you see all the family dynamics and how they twist and turn through care, and that we all approach it just a little bit different, with that. So
absolutely.
What is the best way to connect, with others who are going through kind of this same thing with caregivers? Do you have some outlets for them?
Well, one of the things they can certainly do is, one of the easiest ways is to visit the ComForcare website, which is comforcare.com, ComForcare.com. There's resources on there to connect with one of the local offices who will often be sponsoring some event in the area, or is a great resource for connecting. I also encourage people to contact Music and Memory, musicandmemory.org, which is the organization that is responsible for Alive Inside, the film Alive Inside. There's many opportunities there. They're always looking for people to volunteer for programs, and they have a lot of information on the website. Also, ComForcare has a YouTube channel on YouTube. It's ComForcare, ComForcare YouTube, and we have a lot of videos there as well. And I encourage whoever would like to reach out and contact me, because I would be happy to put you in touch with some local resources in your area. And the Alzheimer's Association is another resource for some support, and I know that they have a 24-hour hotline now. But regarding music, there's many things that you can do. Senior centers often will have musical programs. If your loved one is living in a community, they will have musical programs. If you're at home, there's many resources using YouTube. Something simple like going on YouTube and looking up someone's favorite artist. The content on there is amazing, and I always use that. Connecting with others too. The ComForcare sponsors family skills and support groups in some of our markets, and we'd be happy to connect you with one of those groups, and that puts people together. On a live inside screening. The ComForcare music program is called Joyful Memories, and joyfulmemories.com is another resource where you can go to learn about the next Alive Inside event that's coming up, and it may be in your market. So there's lots of things out there, and I really encourage anyone to please reach out and contact me, and I think that that's a great way, and I love to hear from people, and I love to hear what stories you have to share some stories together. And I can be reached at S as in Sam, T as in Tom, O as in Oscar, L as in Larry, L as in Larry, at ComForcare.com, and that's ComForcare.com. That is my email address, and I'd be happy if I got thousands of emails coming in. That would be great, because my goal in life at this point has always been about music. I've always believed in music, and I know that music has the power to unify all of us at times when we're being pulled apart with various issues and health concerns and all types of other issues that we deal with. Music can be a very unifying force to help us all come together and help one another to live our best life possible.
Agree. I'm going to throw in just a couple other resources that might be helpful for people too. One is Alzheimer's Music Connect, which has some great information for people. They can get CDs. They have some religious music. They have different genres, and I don't know if you're familiar with them or not, but they have a patent pending technique with their music, and their research has shown that when people listen to the music, their attention span and engagement can increase up to 3 hours after listening to the music, and so that's pretty cool to have happen there. The other is, I don't know if you've heard about I'm going brain dead right now. I hate when that happens, but Wayne Mesker has been working with Alive Inside as well, but he also is working on pulling together music events around the world for dementia that they do annually, usually in the fall. And for the life of me, I cannot think of the name of it. Isn't that just peachy? So I can't. That's awful. And I'm looking on his Facebook page right now, trying to save my butt, and I'm not doing it. It's not there. It's not there. Rock Against Dementia. That's what it's called. Okay, I found it. So I'm good. And I was wrong. I guess it's not fall. It's March. Let's see, it was March 21st, 2015 is when they had it. They did it this year as well, and I'm not quite sure if they've got a date picked out for the following year, but they actually have countries all over the world getting involved with this, and Alzheimer's Disease International is now getting involved with it too. And it's pretty fascinating because, music is just so powerful. And so many people are writing songs about dementia now, too, which I find very fascinating, too. I mean, just some beautiful, beautiful songs. about, how we care and things. So any last tips that you want to give to people or anything that we didn't talk about that you think we should?
Well, the main thing that I would like to leave everyone with is that don't forget how powerful something simple like music is. Music is all around us every day. It's just a matter of intentionally thinking about how you can use music to connect and engage with someone. It's an extremely powerful tool. It's there all the time. And I also want to encourage everyone who is a caregiver, a baby boomer like myself, write down, create a list of music that has significance for you, your own playlist. Because going forward as you age, it's going to be a really important tool for you, no matter what happens to you, whether you're perfectly healthy for the rest of your life, or whether you have something like dementia or something else. It will be a tremendous resource for anyone, for your loved ones. If you're married, make your playlist, give it to your spouse. Trade playlists. Talk about the music that has significance. Talk about why they're significant, the stories that are associated with those particular songs. It's a great way to connect. It's a great way to stay really alive and vital for as long as possible. That would be my advice for the day.
Okay. Well, sounds like great advice. Again, I just, I love that we had this conversation, and hopefully a lot of people will, turn up the music and make sure if you need batteries that you have extra ones handy. If you can't play it out loud, there's headsets or earbuds. There's so many different ways to listen nowadays, on our phones, on our TVs, radios, CD players. I mean, it's endless. And, DVDs, all that kind of stuff. So don't limit yourself. And just, what's the worst that can happen if you try? It doesn't work. But know with somebody with dementia, what might not work one moment might work another. So always try more than once and make sure it's their music.
And also to look for the subtleties. You may say it's not working, but maybe you're just not looking carefully enough to see that person's foot tapping or something that shows that they're engaging with the music.
Yeah, that's a really, really good point because we are horrible at looking at the nonverbals, absolutely horrible. And that is something that we all have to do a much, much better job at. So I'm very, very interested to see how many people will contact you after this, or, they may just even tap into your resources and things too. And you may never know how you and ComForcare have changed people's lives. So I thank you for taking the time to spend with us today. And again,
it's been my pleasure.
Do you want to give people your contact information one more time?
Yes, the website to visit is www.comforcare.com. That's ComForcare.com. And my email address is S as in Sam, T as in Tom, O as in Oscar, L as in Larry, L as in Larry, @ComForcare.com. And I encourage you, please feel free to communicate. Love to hear from you.
Great. Thank you so much, Steve. You have a wonderful day. And again, so appreciate your time and the work that you're doing.
My pleasure. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. I want to just give a couple of highlights here before we let you go. If you haven't listened to our most recent shows, all of our shows are podcasts, so you can go back to the archives. But I'm just going to mention a handful of our most recent ones. We had Safety Anchor on, which is a wandering protection unit for people with dementia, and they were actually going to give away a free unit and then a couple at 50% off, and then I think it was 6 at 30% off. Worth listening to, getting that information and seeing if those are still available. We also had a really cool thing on from the UK, sensory chairs and how they are improving health for people. Just fascinating. Prior to that, we talked about dealing with dementia and technology. We talked about with one care partner walking the tightrope of sanity, caring for a parent with dementia. And then we had Dr. Force on talking about the detoxing of caregivers and key tips for survival, strength, and passion. On that, our next show, we are going to have a state-of-the-art Alzheimer's care facility on in Illinois, and we are also going to have, Gary Tong with Ludbeck in the U.S., and he is a therapeutic area head in the area of dementia, so we're going to be learning about some research there, which will be great. Our last Dementia Chats was July 26th due to I was out of internet at my place, and so we didn't get to do our August 9th session. But the 26th session was very interesting. We talked about how decision-making changes as the disease progresses. And remember, Dementia Chats, our panelists all have dementia. We also talked about driving and when and how one decides to stop. And our next session for Dementia Chats, which is a free video chat, will be August 23rd at 11 Eastern, 10 Central, 9 Mountain, 8 Pacific, and 4 o'clock if you're over in London. Our last Conscious Caring resource, which is a video interview, was with Vince Engargo, and he is with Alzheimer's Music Fest, and they just had their big festival. I want to say it was August 6th down in Atlanta, so that'll be fun. And on the blog, you may want to check out, especially if you're in Minnesota, the Good Samaritan Society actually has free life coaching for caregivers. Again, that's free, and it's a pretty cool system. So go to Alzheimer's Speaks, and you can just go to our blog and find out information there, or like us on Facebook, and everything pops up there as well. Last, I want to shout out to the Caregiver Alert Center, where it's just a critical place to be able to register your loved one with dementia in case they would happen to wander off. It's inexpensive. It's under $15 a year. And they also have alert centers for children and pets and college students and people who travel. It's pretty cool system, and it's something that can get pushed out immediately when you just plan ahead. Let me see here. On Alive and Social, if you haven't listened to Apples to Apples on Sunday evenings, check them out if you're into sports. Scott and Drew Applebaum are a father and son team who are pretty comical in terms of discussing what's going on with the games. And last, I just want to offer you to sign up on Alzheimer's Speaks as a member. You'll have access to our tools then. And one of the most popular is Your Memory Chip, which teaches us, instead of focusing on what we all talk about being person-centered, which most of us, when we do that, we're following a checklist, it teaches us to first look at, are they safe? Are they happy? Are they pain-free? Have a wonderful week, everyone. Talk to you next week.
Hi, this is Suzanne Newman, host of the Answers for Elders podcast and radio show. We are the North Star that guides you through the complicated journey of senior care with trusted experts in money, law, living solutions, and more. So join us on this station, your favorite podcast channel, or just go to AnswersForElders.com. Meet the Wayshowers who will help your journey go a lot easier.